All right. Welcome back to the DudeRX podcast, where it's real talk with real men about the real things that they're dealing with in their life. The theme of this episode is nobody's coming to save you. Discipline, fatherhood, the mindset of a man who shows up anyway. So I'm going to start with some warm-up questions. So for the people listening, would you like to introduce yourself?
Daniel Stearlings, father, husband.
Sounds good. How would you describe yourself as a man?
Trying.
I got you.
By trying, I mean trying to improve in every aspect and also learning. Nobody's born into this shit. There's no fucking manual to it. I mean, you're just trying to be open-minded and trying to learn to do better every day.
Yeah, I like that. What shaped your mindset growing up?
Started out well, we didn't grow up the best. We moved place to place pretty much every year. I mean, hell, I moved 20 times before I even got out of high school. But for some reason, I've got 4 siblings, and even through everything that most people would either find traumatic or unfortunate, we always found a way to make the best of everything. So I guess my mindset would be is no matter where you go, it's the people around you that has the possibility to make a poor situation into a great one.
Kind of like the saying, every cloud has a silver lining.
Absolutely. And for me, that was my siblings, my mother. We didn't have much, but I mean, it's kind of like Christmas, Some people think that's the presents that makes the day, but it's really the company you keep in the atmosphere.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that too. So if someone asks you what you believe in, what's the core of your philosophy?
Now, being that I'm a Christian fellow, most people would say that God should be first and foremost. Now, for people who all don't believe in that, through the core of Christianity and stuff like that, I find that it can still relate to the average person, and that is family. Family for me comes first on every occasion. Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you go to work? I don't go to work to make money. I go to work to support my family.
Provide, yeah. Don't go to work because you enjoy it. You got to take care of everybody else.
Everything I do, everything I strive to be is for the people I care about, for my family.
So we work the same shift. What keeps you going on these long weekends?
Knowing that at the end of it, I'm going to spend the whole weekdays getting my girl on the bus to go to school and spending the day playing with my boys.
Yeah, that's me. No matter how bad it is, no matter how fucked up the situation is at work or whatever else, whether it's raining, snowing, whatever else, I get 4 days to go be with my kids. I mean, it's got its downs, but getting to spend 4 days with my kids beats the shit out of getting them on the weekends or getting to see them Saturday evening. Then through Sunday, you're tired, don't want to do anything, and then got to go back to work. I've done that shit.
Yeah, I mean, even a lot. Some people say, "Oh, you work 12-hour shift." It's got to be a long day. It really ain't that long, as long as you got a positive mindset about it. Like I said, we work to live. We don't live to work. We ain't working there because the boss man is he's family, or he's the ones coming over to play with the kids and everything. We work for the people that we love and the people that we're providing for. So when I go to work, I'm like, this is a small price to pay to have what I have and love what I love.
Yeah, I like that. That's me. That's like I said, I've worked 24-hour shifts. I've worked 16 for 2 weeks at a time. I mean, I poured most of my life into work, trying to provide, and then the money gets spent and you don't get the time back with your kids. And that's
a hard line to walk because you're a father. I'm
Yeah.
a father. I got three beautiful children. And as a man, part of you wants to work to give them everything that their hearts could dream of, you know. You want to get, you know, they turn 3 or so, you want to give them that power wheel so they can drive around the lawn, you know. They say, Daddy, I want to play baseball. You get in the bat, you get in the ball, get in the glove. You know, you want to give them everything. But at the same time, you don't want to look back on the 18 or sometimes fewer years you get with your kids and realize that all you did was work.
Yeah, that's what it was for me, man. That's the reason I tried so hard to get here, because the way it was before is I worked 60, 70 hours a week. And like I said, I mean, I'd get him off my ex-wife at my oldest. I get him on the weekend, pick him up Saturday evening. By the time that we got to the house, it was time to go to bed. And then get to hang out with him on Sunday. Wore out from the week. And then have to take him back. And I mean, that's just, I hated that. And now I wouldn't never trade this for any other way, no matter how hard this is, no matter how hard it gets, whatever else. I mean, I can't ever get the time back I lost with my kid. And that's what I told him. I'm like, I can't make up for being gone, but I can try to make the time that we're together better now. So,
absolutely.
So what does nobody's coming to save you mean to you?
It's more that is a core mentality that I hold on to. It's not necessarily something that I would recommend for everyone, but it's definitely helped me with my mindset, because I mean, it's, to explain it can be harsh. Like my quote is, no one cares, work harder. It's basically the same thing. You know, no one's coming to save you. You know, my back hurts. No one cares, work harder. Oh, you know, I had a bad day at work. Guess what? No one cares, work hard.
Yeah.
You know, and that comes with the, you know, you're saying, you know, nobody's coming to save you. But that's not entirely true as a statement. But if you use that mentality, you're going to make yourself a more independent person and challenge yourself to be able to do everything you can without asking for help, which is
Well, I have to edit that part out. I got a towel in my wallet.
But like I said, you know, no one coming to save you. It puts things into perspective as a man, that you should be doing your best at all times to make sure that you can handle your own business. In the sense that, I mean, as a man, looking at all the different situations in life. You know, my wife, she, you know, if the baby gets sick, she's, well, what if it's this, or what if it's that, you know, thinking the worst. And she's like, why are you acting so calm? I said, because as a man, my job is to expect the worst and hope for the best. Yeah. Now, it may be in negative light to think like that, but in reality, it makes it to where if something does go wrong, you're prepared. And nobody coming to save you is that mentality. That's what it gives you. It gives you a sense of preparedness for the things that happen in life.
You feel like people quit on themselves too soon or too easily?
Well, in other words, a lack of self-confidence will do that. And I think every man struggles with confidence, no matter how you may present yourselves to your fellow man in private. I mean, everybody questions, you know, how truly good you are as a man and what you're doing and how far you've made it in life, and compared to the goals you may or may not have set for yourself, or the standards that men judge each other on, you know.
Yeah.
And honestly, that it's not even that men truly judge each other as often as we might think, but we hold ourselves to such a high accountability that it makes us feel like we're failing all the time, you know, which can be negative, but it could also be positive in the sense you could use that as motivation to keep going and keep trying harder, you know?
Yeah, I had a friend of mine tell me that because I'm trying to get all this together, this business, everything else, and he told me that he felt like I was so worried about trying to make it and do all this that I wasn't going to have time to slow down and actually enjoy the shit that's going on around me. And I mean, he's not wrong. It's like trying to get it all together, be good enough for the kids and everything else. Constantly trying to keep everything going, not taking enough time to just enjoy it.
Well, I mean, that happens to everybody. I think everyone gets so caught up in trying, in the end goal of being the man you want to be that you forget to enjoy the times that you're having currently that's going to turn you into the person you want to be.
Celebrate the little victories.
Absolutely.
So, how do you stay focused when life feels repetitive?
I live in a circle, man. I mean, and it sounds like you do too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I wake up Friday morning, I go to work, I work Friday, work Saturday, work Sunday. I wake up Monday morning, I put my girl on the bus, I watch my boys all day, I go to the dump once a week, and when it's summertime, I mow that grass, and then next thing you know, it's time to go back to work. And it gets to you, but as a way of dealing with it is to remember that everything you're doing is for a reason. That's like me working weekend. It wasn't my preferred shift, work all weekend because I'm missing time with my wife. She works the exact opposite schedule I do, and I'm missing out time with her, and I'm missing out time on the weekends to be able to have all my kids all day long along with my wife and be able to do things with her. But back to the point is we're doing everything we do for a reason, or at least we should be. Now, it just so happens that mine is, I don't want to say times are tough, but I mean, some aspects, and it is tough. Like right now, you got kids, you got a wife, life ain't exactly cheap right now. And I don't think it's going to be for a while. Both y'all got to work. And, for your kids that aren't old enough to go to school, and even the ones that are, when summertime comes around, somebody's got to watch them. And for me, I can't afford to pay somebody to watch my kids. And unfortunately, in the times of today, I don't know if I necessarily trust someone to. The point is, everything you're doing is for a reason. And for the greater cause of being able to know that my kids are in safe hands 100% of the time, and they're spending quality time with both me and my wife. It may not be at the same time all, conveniently, but overall, we're doing it for them. We're doing it for us, to be in a good financial mindset. That's what we came up. It's the best thing to do. It's not ideal by any means in the sense of emotional well-being, because, my wife gets home during the week and it's all right. Hey, we got to cook this dinner. We got to, get these kids washed up. And then it's time to put them to bed,
Yeah.
It's kind of like a high and bye situation. When I get home from a 12-hour shift, I get home, eat a little supper, take a shower, give her a quick kiss and say, all right, it's time to go to bed. It's hard, but it's necessary.
Yeah. To be able to get to the next step. That's what we have to deal with right now. I'm in the same boat. I feel the same way too.
Well, and another thing is like on the greater scale of things, we're doing what we're doing for our kids. And the biggest sacrifice is coming from the time that me and my wife don't get to spend together. You may have been husband and wife first, but now you're mom and dad.
Yeah.
And that's just as important.
Well, speaking about the kids, so how's being home with your kids shaped you?
You ever ask God for patience?
Yeah. all the time. And sometimes I'm doing decent, better than I used to be. I used to be a pretty hothead. Now I'm.
Oh, I still am. And that's another thing I'm working on. You know, it's definitely trying. And I mean, how old are your kids?
I got a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old.
See, and that right there is a little bit additional when it comes to trying your patience there, because when you got 2 kids you're watching and they're on 2 different time schedules and 2 different speeds, it's very hard to stay cool, calm, and collected with everything that's going on. Because, like, for me, you know, for myself, I've got a 2-year-old boy, almost 3, and I've got a 1-year-old. So I got one that's running around the house saying, "Daddy, I want to watch Coco Melon," or "I want a snack," or something. And I got another one that can't talk yet, and he's just screaming at me, and I'm trying to figure out what he wants. And it can be aggravating. It's very trying. And biggest thing I can say I'm working on is patience, man. You know, I've got a temper, and honestly, you know, everybody looking back at their childhood can say, you know, even if they had a perfect one, they can say, well, there was this one thing that really bothered me my whole childhood. You know, some people, they have alcoholic parents.
Yeah.
Some people have parents that have provided for them materialistically their entire childhood, and they've never gone without, but they haven't been there emotionally for their kids, and they miss out on that. For me, I can honestly say, you know, if it keeps going the way it's going, if I don't find a resolution to my temper and not being able to find patience and peace within the chaos of my home, the one thing that they would probably say about me is Daddy yelled a lot. And, you know, that may not seem that bad, you know, compared to having alcoholic parents or absent parents or some people who don't even have parents, but it's still not good.
Right. No, I get that. So balancing provider versus a present dad. Any thoughts on that?
Well, we kind of hit a little bit on that already, but I mean, in a nutshell, I mean, it's what you value. You know, some people, they value their time with their kids above everything, even to the point where they're okay with their kids not having as much, not necessarily not having their necessities, but maybe, you know, when Christmas comes around, you know, they can't afford to get them, you know, something that maybe their kids have been asking for a little bit, but it may not be something that you can give them right then, but you have all the time with them in the world. And then you have some people who are like, they're never there. They're working 24/7. I mean, they can get you anything under the moon, and it's at no, you know, cost is not something that plays a factor in anything that they want. And honestly, for me, it's a hard line to walk, because you want to give them everything, but you also want to be there for everything. And it's just, it's hard to walk that line.
You got the money, you ain't got the time. If you got the time, you ain't got the money.
Exactly. And honestly, and going along with that, you know, like, for people who think, you know, who may have grown up in a similar situation as like mine, I didn't grow up with, you know, new stuff. I'm the youngest of 5 siblings. Everything I got was a hand-me-down, or I was lucky. You know, it was very seldom that we got something new, or that we wanted something that was not necessarily on the cheaper range of things. Dang, I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, what you said. So, like, talking about trying to give them things and everything else. So for me, we were real poor, and it was mostly just my mom. And like, you know, I remember getting. I was just a little kid. I say about 6 or 7 or something. And there was people that came around and asked us what we wanted. At that time, I didn't know. All I know is that we got Christmas presents.
Yeah.
And whatever I asked for, they got me. And like, I got like, I liked Alabama as a kid. I still like Alabama now. And, you know, I guess it was social services or whoever. I guess they do some kind, or like,
church group where they
something like that. Whatever, they come out and say, hey, what do you want? It's for, you know, low income families. I don't know if it's social services or whatever, but they ask. They go out and buy these kids that stuff and whatever else. And like, I didn't understand. I know, like, at one point we were so poor that we didn't have a Christmas tree, but my mom still wanted to give us Christmas.
Yeah.
So she took 3 clothes hangers. Pretty sure it's 3 clothes hangers, and like weaved them into each other somehow so that they stood up in a triangle, and then wrapped garland around that. And we put it like on the bar in their trailer, and then like put those gifts. I think we might have had a couple things. And then we put shit underneath it, and then I mean, it was still, that's like you were saying earlier. It's not about
it's environment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not about the gifts, because it didn't matter even if I didn't get anything. My mom tried, and she was there, and I mean, those are still good memories that I have from my childhood. And then, you know, like another thing, like you were talking about, not having anything. So for me, my mindset was I didn't have no shit as a kid, you know, didn't have much, whatever else. I wanted to give it to my kids.
Yeah.
And then I'm at a point now where I feel like I tried to give him so much shit that he don't appreciate it. Like it's just, you know, if you got to work for it, like if you had to fight or kill your food for the day, like if you didn't eat and you had to go fish to catch a fish to eat it, you would appreciate the fuck out of that fish. But if somebody just give you a fish and every day they give you a fish, you expect them to give that shit to you, and there's no appreciation in it.
Well, it's the difference between being independent and independent. And going along with, like, you know, going along the lines of Christmas and stuff like that, and coming from not having much. And this is kind of where I lost my point earlier. But when you come from a childhood like that or growing up like that, you really lean towards the side of wanting to give your kids everything you never had. But when you sit back and think about, you know, what makes Christmas, what makes events, holidays, and stuff like that so special, it's the environment, it's the people. And you realize that to walk that fine line between being present and being able to give your kids whatever you want, honestly, I think you can come to the conclusion that it's not that you want to give them everything you ever had, but you want to give them experiences that you've always wanted and some that you have had. And with that, not only are you giving them something they're going to enjoy, but you're present for it.
I like that. That's good. I really like that. That's what you said there. So what lesson or skill or whatever do you hope your kids learn from you? Like, if you can, you know, what do you hope your kids take from you?
There's a lot of things I hope my kids take from me, and there's a lot of things I hope they don't. You know, one of my not so good qualities is I cuss like a damn sailor, and my wife gets after me about it. You know, but as for good qualities, I would say, you know, be a worker, but understand what you're working for, and be appreciative to the fact that you may not have everything you want today, but you have the ability to make it happen tomorrow. Or you may have the ability to make it happen in whatever timeline it takes. And that's the thing, you know, some people are like, oh, you know, I need to make that money, you know, I need to make this much an hour, you know. You should not look at the things you don't have today and, you know, short yourself. In the sense, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. The world wasn't built in a day. Everything takes progress. It takes steps. It takes learning. It takes knowledge. It takes understanding. And it's just nothing happens overnight. Nothing good that's actually worth having happens overnight. That's why they say, if it's worth it, it's worth waiting for. You know, I mean, I look around right now, you know, we're sitting in my garage, you know, back when I was 18, you know, I'd kill to have, you know, a place to work on my vehicles. You know, I got pool sticks here. I got pool table right here. You know, I'd kill to have this. And now you've grown so accustomed to it, and you're like, dang, you're on to the next thing. I need more.
Yeah.
And you know, it's nice to have goals. It's nice to have ambition. But what's healthy for your soul to get you through the day is to count the blessings you already have. You know, it, like I said, it's great to have goals. You know, goals is what keeps you going. It's what keeps you sane. It's what keeps you on your path to keep doing good. You got to have something that drives you. Now, family is a good driver. Family is a good driver to maintain stability. But for those who want to reach further than that, you have to have something else that drives you. You know, some people are driven by the numbers in their bank account. Some people are driven by the type of car they drive, you know, the type of watch they wear, the type of shoes they got on, you know. And it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's good to have goals. But you need to realize that this stuff doesn't happen overnight. You know, it's just like, for instance, like I just said, you know, shoes, watch, house, money, you know, cars, all this stuff. Say if you got them today, they're going to be paid off today. You got a long ways for that's yours.
Yeah.
And people forget that. You know, everything that you truly want that is actually truly important to you is worth waiting for. Everything, you know, it's like you're saying, hand a guy fish, you know, if you can get something right now, get that instant validation, does it actually make you feel that good?
No, no, I mean, you're right. Means a little more if you had to work for it instead of just being handed it to you.
Well, not only that, working for it, but working on it, working for it consistently. You know, it's just like faith. You know, faith is nothing without, you know, questioning a little bit. The whole point of faith in yourself, faith in religion, is having doubt, but moving forward and trusting it anyways.
Yeah, I like it too.
Goals are great. Goals are great with
Hey.
You know what I think about most about goals though is remembering how hard and how long I had to work at something or wait on something to get to where you achieve them. It's like, I'm 25 years old. I got this house here, you know. Like I said, when I was growing up, I moved every year. I'd give anything to have a stable home, not have to move, not have to pull my kids around school to school, place to place, you know, having them make friends after friends and losing them and making more. And here I am. Here I am. I achieved one of my goals, and that was to have a stable home. And I remember the journey. Before I had this home, I lived in a camper, and I thought me and my wife were crazy living in a damn camper. But you know what? I look back at those days fondly. I remember freezing my butt off because I didn't swap the propane tank out and get the heat going. You know, it's stuff like that that really emphasizes the appreciation you have for the steps you took to have the life that you have.
What's one thing you'd tell your younger self? Or if you could talk to you from, hell, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago, what advice would you give yourself?
Expect the unexpected. Because guess what? Like I said, 5 years ago, I didn't have this house. I didn't have the job I'm working at. I didn't have my 3 kids. 5 years ago, I was married. I was freshly married, living in a camper with my wife. And if you told me then that I was going to wake up in 5 years in a home I owned with 3 little crotch goblins calling me daddy, working for, you know, a cat dealership, I'd call you crazy.
I'll be honest, man. I expect to be dead by 25. I mean, honestly, like I started drinking around 16, and then I got arrested a week before I turned 19. The whole year of my 19th birthday, I was on probation, drugs, alcohol, whatever. I didn't give a fuck. I went to work, and I mean, I could operate equipment. I didn't give a shit about anything, and I mean, I don't think I would change anything because it's led me to where I'm at. But I mean, I don't even know.
You're fortunate.
Oh yeah, look, I mean, honestly, like I've lived a wild life, but like I've learned a lot, and see, that's the reason that's one of the reasons that I'm trying to do this is because a lot of the things that I've been through, I can relate to other people. I can talk about anybody, and like my mom told me as a kid, you can do anything you want to as long as you set your mind to it, and I really took that personally because, like, I mean, dude, I've done a lot. I mean, I've sold drugs and I drove truck, and I mean, I've operated equipment, I paved roads, logged timber, cut trees. I mean, to me, it's just whatever I had to do, and I mean, I wasn't worried about the consequences of a lot of it. And I mean, I'm thankful for where I'm at. I'm thankful for all the things that I've been through that's taught me the lessons I have now.
Well, that's why I say you're fortunate. You know why I say you're fortunate so much now, rather than if you would have done those things later on. What do you think's harder, having a hard upbringing or having a harder end of life?
Harder end of life.
You know, you look back, you look at childhood, you look at things you didn't have, you look at things you didn't get to do, you look at the dumb shit you did. I mean, and I'm grateful that I did it then, because guess what? That gave you the opportunity to turn into the man you are today. What do you think is more? I don't want to say heroic, but maybe impressive. Maybe someone who had it right from the start and kept it right the entire time, or someone who went right down the wrong damn road and went trucking, and then woke up one day and said, "You know what? I don't think this is the road I'm supposed to be on."
Yeah.
And you turn that thing around and you start heading in a new direction, start doing things right, start trying to be better, start trying to do better, start wanting better. Don't get me wrong, it's still good for the guy who had it right from the beginning, but it's another thing for someone who went down the wrong path and actually woke up and said, "Hey, I ain't doing what I'm supposed to do. I ain't where I want to be. I'm not being who I want to be," and decides to change his life around.
I mean,
That's impressive.
It's a big deal. So how do you deal with stress?
Hold on a minute. I am not. I'm either really fucking good or really fucking bad at handling stress, because inadvertently I lock that shit up. And like I said, I've got a temper. I cuss like a sailor, and honestly, I think that's my out. Some people, they get pissed off, they need a drink, or they need to go out and blow off some steam. Me, I just need a curse and throw a fucking wrench, and then next thing you know, I'm back at it.
I got a buddy of mine. He buries everything, and that's what a lot of men do. I mean, there's a lot of times we feel like if we talk about it, it ain't gonna change nothing. It ain't gonna matter, whatever else. And he never even, like, when I asked him, because he went through some shit, some deep shit, and I asked him one day, I said, "Man, how you?" Because he just keeping on, man. Like anybody else, they'd break down, be fucked up, and he just keeping right along. And I asked him, I said, "Man, how you deal with that?" And he went. And that was it. Never said anything else. And I was like, well, I guess that's it. And like, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like it's healthy. I mean, eventually it's going to weigh on you, I think. Maybe, I don't know.
It hits you out of nowhere. It's just, I mean, and I've got a couple good stories about it. I also have a buddy who is similar. He has a probably one of the most stressful lives I can think of for a working man. He's single. He owns his own trucking company. He is the only one in it. He drives his own trucks. He works on his own trucks. He breaks down. He fixes it. And he's a farmer.
Oh,
he works with fucking cattle. He does the damn hay. And he drives trucks. I couldn't think of two careers that I would not want to do more than doing farming and trucking at the same time. And I remember back in the day, I was in high school, and I was buying a truck off of him. And it didn't run. And we needed to load it up on trailer and take it over to my house. Well, he pulled the truck up the hill with the tractor so we could unhook the chain and let it roll down onto the gooseneck. And this is about 11 o'clock at night, you know, the worst fucking time to be doing this shit. And the trailer wasn't too far from the tractor. Well, we put the truck in neutral and it rolls a couple feet and it hits the ramps and it stops. And I was like, fuck. I was really hoping it was just going to load itself. So we get a little come along out, hooked to the front of the truck, and we're fucking jacking the damn thing, and it's coming slowly, so fucking slowly. Like I said, it's pitch black out. It's 11 o'clock at night. We work at it for half an hour, and the sumbitch still ain't on the trailer.
Yeah.
And he's like, let me look at something. And keep in mind, we both need to work next day. Or I had to go to school the next day. He had to work the next day. He goes out and looks at the back of the truck, and he comes back and he starts laughing. And I'm like, and I'm pissed because, you know, we were supposed to be done with this, you know, hour ago. I was supposed to be on the road to the house by now. I'm like, what the fuck are you laughing at? He's like, we didn't unhook the tractor from the truck. And like I said, I was supposed to be gone by then. I was tired. I was hungry. I wanted to go to bed. And I just start fucking cussing. And he's laughing his ass off. And I'm like, dude, why the fuck are you laughing? He's like, because we can't change it.
Yeah.
You know, and that has resonated with me to this day. Because you know what? One, when you do something stupid, laugh at yourself. Learn to laugh at yourself, or else you're going to be one miserable old prick. And two, understand that what has happened, and getting mad about it now ain't going to change a damn thing.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Learn your lesson and try to do better next time. The future you're trying to build for your family.
For my family, as in including my children, or as in what do I want my future to look like when I'm retired, or
Either or.
the future I want for my family is something that you don't really see, or you're seeing less of nowadays, and that's a close-knit family. You're a couple years older than me, but I'm sure when you were growing up, you know, Easter Sunday comes around, you probably go visit some family. Like for me, every Easter Sunday, I'd go to my grandmother's church with her. Mom would get us dressed up. We'd drive an hour to Falmouth and go to church with my grandmother, and we'd all go back to her house afterwards, and we'd have Easter Sunday supper. And it's like Christmas. We'd have Christmas at our house, and then come mid-afternoon, I'd see all my uncles, aunts, cousins. We'd all kind of congregate at my grandmother's house.
Yeah.
And as time goes on, as loved ones pass, you know, you don't get together as often. You don't have that unity as an entire family outside of your own home. And my goal for my family is that as my kids get older, as they have kids, as they have life, they have work, they got shit going on. My hope for my family is that at the end of the day, you know, when those special times come around, that they still make time to come home and be an even bigger extension of what our family started out as. You know? That's what I want. Above everything else, I want my kids to be successful. I want them to be happy. I want them to do whatever makes them happy and be comfortable, you know, telling me about it and maybe involving me in it. And just, I don't want to be one of those parents that my kids, you know, they're one of those, you know, I can't wait to get out of here. I'm never coming back. Or you see them once every couple years and you have no idea what they're doing, what they're into, what, you know, if they have kids, what they're getting into, you know, how they're doing. I don't want to be absent as a father, no matter how old my kids get.
Yeah.
I want everyone, and like I said, you talk about what's your main focus. My main focus is always going to be family and trying to keep it together and keep it, with old school stuff like that, going to see family and getting together. I want to be able to hold my family. I don't want to say to a standard or anything like that, but usually in every family, there is one person that keeps everyone coming back together. I want to be that person. For me, that was my grandmother and my grandfather. And like I said, life goes on. People passed away. And unfortunately, about 5-6 years ago, I lost my papa. And after that, my grandmother moved to Kentucky, in which all of my family was within an hour, 2 hours drive here in Virginia. And ever since he passed, it seems like you see less and less of people. And I dread that. I want to be the person that keeps everyone coming back. Not out of necessity or not out of fear that, I'm going to give them shit, but I want them to want to come back. I want them to want to get together. Switch gears here. If you're looking at just me and my wife, what do I want when I'm an old man if I'm blessed enough to make it there? I want to live in a home that I own, on land that is mine, with neighbors that don't care if I'm out here till 3 a.m. tinkering or blasting my old time honky music or shooting the deer in the backyard when hunting season rolls around.
And he don't want to pay no fucking tax.
No fucking taxes, damn it. No, above everything else, I want to find peace and happiness within my home where I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to, some people, some people say when we retire, we want to travel the world. Some people want to get an RV and go across these United States. Some people want to go to Greece, go to Rome, see the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Some people want to travel. For me, that's just not it for me. I hope I wake up one day, hopefully in my late 60s, I'll be fucking retired. If Social Security don't keep going the way it's going, but we won't get into that. I hope I wake up one day at a ripe old age and I'm able to look out my window at my house and know that everything that I need or want is right here.
What do you want your kids to hear years from now? Or what would you say to your kids right now if they watch this years later?
I hope that they're able to say that I achieved everything that I spoke of tonight and more. And that I didn't let them down as a father. And that if everything was not right as rain their entire lives, but overall they can look back and be happy of how we raised them and the environment we raised them and the time that we spent with them and look back fondly. If they do look back at it in 50 fucking years, probably say Dad should have quit them cigarettes a long time ago.
If you could give a message to any man that needs to hear something, what would the message be? I mean, whether it's struggling, stress, tiredness, feel like they want to give up or whatever else, what would you say?
Not alone. And not to sound cheesy or anything like that, or to say the same old thing that everybody says to people who are going through shit. But I mean, truly, and I'm not just talking about people who are doing the same shit I do. I'm talking about the people who are struggling financially, maybe struggling with addiction or just struggling mentally to accept the position they're in or where they're at in life now. You know, I look at myself in life, you know, I'm not rich in the sense of money.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional in my trade. I'm not, you know, the ideal, most perfect fucking Hallmark father that people want to be. But I mean, I'm doing okay. I'm handling my business. And I'm doing better than, not to sound cocky, but most people my age. That's what many people tell me. You know, you're doing good. Keep it up. Even for those who aren't where I'm at or not where they want to be, you know, you're not alone in the sense that no matter where you're at in life, good or bad, you're always going to have struggles. You're going to always have doubt. You know, people tell me I'm a great father. That doesn't mean I don't think about, you know, shit I do or how I act and think, you know, think that there's any way that I couldn't be a good father. I mean, there's many days that I think, damn, I'm doing this wrong. I'm doing it all wrong. Or I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
Then you got the days where you're gone all day, wife spent home with the kids, or the kid, you know, you ain't spent the time with them all day, and you're like, damn, I'm not doing enough, or I'm doing too much to the fact that I'm not there with them. You know, there's always going to be doubt. There's always going to be questioning yourself, but it's questioning yourself that keeps you in check. You know, you have to question yourself. What would you think if you sat there as a father, as a husband, or as a just a human being and thought, "Yep, I'm doing everything right. There ain't nothing wrong with me. There's no way I could be any better than the person I am now." You have to have doubt. You have to question yourself. And as men, I think we're too hard on ourselves. I really do. We hold ourselves to a standard that I almost think is you know, it's unreasonable. You know, it doesn't matter how good a day I have at work. I'm never going to think that I'm the best. I'm never going to think I've reached my peak. I'm never going to think that I can't go any farther. I'm never going to be at home with the kids and think, damn, they couldn't have asked for a better dad. Because you know what? As much as I hate to say this, you know, granted, someone's got to be number one.
Yeah.
Somebody out there's got to be number one. But you got to remind yourself, there's always room for improvement. There's always going to be something else that you can do better. Or someone else that's doing better than yourself. You know, you know, you could compare yourself to the people you know. You can compare yourself to people you don't know. You know, some people compare their lives to lives of celebrities and be like, damn, I'm not making it. I'm not doing shit. You know, I'm nothing. I'm a fucking peon in this world. Comparing yourself to someone who, you know, for instance, someone who makes movies, makes millions of dollars a year, they might think that they're not worth shit.
Yeah.
But you have to know what's important to you. I look at this. I look at my life. Do I have the biggest house? Do I have the newest house? Biggest house on the hill, newest truck in the drive, hottest wife in the world? To everybody else, no. But to me, I do. With that being said, value what you have, but also understand that you're not meant to live other people's lives. I'm not fucking the Rock Johnson, you know. I wasn't made to make movies, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't made like that. I wasn't made to live that life. So who am I to judge my accomplishments based on someone else's life? We weren't made to do the same shit. Some people were made to be singers. I love to sing. I love country music. I sing loud as hell to the radio when I'm in the truck by myself. And I'm like, damn, you sound good. You should have been a singer. That's not what I'm here for.
I would say record that shit and listen to it. Yeah, it's me. You know? Well, I can sing good, but ain't nobody listening.
When nobody's listening, I'm the best motherfucker out there. But you got to understand, you know, back to the point, you can't judge how well you're doing based on other people's lives.
How well somebody else is doing.
Absolutely. You know, I don't, and that goes the same way in the opposite direction. You can't judge your life and how good you're doing off of someone who's doing not as good as you. Now, when I say not as good as you, I'm not saying in your own judgment. But if you compare yourself to the bum on the street or someone who has met the bottom, you know, just as much as you are not supposed to judge yourself based on someone who's doing better than you, you should not judge yourself based on someone who may perceive as doing worse than you.
Yeah.
We're not here to judge. I hope everybody wins. And I've heard that shit before. And, you know, I've seen people give that fake fucking smile when they do it. But in reality, I do hope everyone wins. Because you know what? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. That is your God-given right. And I hope you get all three.
Hell yeah. Man, I really enjoyed this, man. I really
Absolutely.
have. I hope to have you on the podcast more often.
I'd love to do it.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed this. I think we're going to try to wrap it up. Thanks for joining. Keep showing up. You know, DudeRX, breaking the silence. Check on your friends. Reach out to other people. Talk to somebody. If you need help, reach out. You know, just keep showing up. Keep breaking the silence. And thanks. Fuck yeah. This is good, bro. I don't know what you want to do with your life. And
well, you know my core fundamentals. I want to be happy and I want to have my family.
well,